Shadow Show.
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 Shadow in it.
Shadow in it. What is this text that you sent me, Mike, of Chuck Norris at what appears to be a green screen? Why are you sending me? How old is Chuck Norris now? Is he in his 80s?
He's in his 80s, no doubt. There is a new Hulu movie that is out with Chuck Norris starring in it, and there are a bunch of theories about this movie, and people are concerned about Chuck Norris, although I follow Chuck Norris on IG, and I saw him lifting fake weights to prove that he was, super healthy, to dispel some of this stuff.
Fake weights? How do you know they were fake?
Because there's no way. There's just no way. He was curling 350 pounds. There's just no plausible way.
He's in impeccable shape.
But, apparently not in great enough shape to actually, sit in for group shots, because whenever they do group shots in this film, it's very clearly a dummy in place of the actual Chuck Norris.
No, wait a minute. Hold on.
Yes, he's body doubled by a dummy, like a mannequin.
Like an idiot?
No, like a mannequin. Chris
That's
just
real.
saw the video.
That's real.
Chris, I heard through the soundproof glass, I heard Chris discovering it on his computer that Chuck Norris is just going to be green screened into a movie. Before we go too far down this path, I had some remorse how it is that we talked about some of the choices that Bruce Willis was either choosing at the end or was being pushed into at the end, where he was making at the end of his career when his health was failing. He was making really bad movie choices because he was just being thrust in front of cameras. Is that what you're saying is happening here with Chuck Norris?
No, I'm sure this movie kicks ass, and I'm going to watch it because, it's Chuck Norris. But he's just clearly older. He's an older gentleman, and, he has his limitations. And Bruce Willis was at a stature that diminishes the overall resume. Chuck Norris never got to that level. So this is totally fair.
Delta Force?
I know Delta Force was a banger.
Delta Force 2?
You can't say that Chuck Norris ever got to Bruce Willis's level of movie stardom.
So Sidekicks is my favorite Chuck Norris movie because all the other Chuck Norris movies are in play. It's kind of like a self-aware parody of Chuck Norris films with Chuck Norris in it. But Walker, Texas Ranger, top of the heap. Yeah.
Come on, man. That's syndicated.
These are fake weights, though.
No, they're not.
The picture, yes. Well, they are weights.
To you, they are, Dan.
They are. This is what they are. Those are the weights. You know how at the gym sometimes you can put 4 or 5 Cadillacs on the bench press,
Attaboy.
but they're not 45-pounders. They're those fake 45-pounders that look like 45-pounders. They're like 20 pounds. Those are the weights Chuck Norris is using.
Just realized I set up a video for the portion of the show that's not on
that
video.
You did do that. That's some expert work by you. I also need to point out to the audience, Chuck Norris is older than Biden.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chat from the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We can't go out, man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man, so tough, but man's keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
Tony, Mike, you guys are the only ones here who work at Metal Arc who come in by train, right? I know the Cotes did it for a while. They tried to do it, but then they quit because they jacked up the price, and the Cotes are coming from far away. They basically lasted 3 or 4 trips, the Cotes did. Tony, you come in every morning by train?
Every single morning since we started here at the Elser, I come in by Metro Rail every single day.
Occasionally, I run into Tony on the train, and that's always fun.
Oh, nice.
And how do you feel about our city? Because it's viewed as being very bad when it comes to public transit, being very inefficient. It's obviously sprawling. You guys live in a part of Miami where a lot of workers live. Is the train filled with people coming into downtown?
A ton. Like there's people coming into Brickell, coming into downtown. There's people going to Jackson. There's a lot of nurses that take the Metro Rail for Jackson. So for us, I think me and Mike are bad when it comes to, hey, it takes us exactly where we need to go. We live maybe 10, 15 minutes away from the station, so it doesn't really take us that much to get there. Like, we're part of the class of like, yeah, Metro Rail, it rocks.
It rocks. I love the Metro Rail.
Do you ever get insecure? Because when you're riding the trains in the morning, and as I experience, it's a lot of business people. So, and around here, we dress casual. So I'm often on the train with my backpack, and I'm like feeling like I'm not getting respect from other people. And in my mind, I'm like, I have a really cool job. You don't know where I'm going right now. I just always get this feeling insecurity of people. Everyone's like, look at this loser. What's he doing on a train?
I'm glad you opened that up because I had an idea, Dan. And you as the kingpin of this company, okay, the guy that makes things happen, right? I want to pitch something to you.
I request things 19 times and everyone ignores me. So
yeah, but if you snap your fingers, things happen.
Well, yeah, my fingers get snapped. That's it.
I want to propose something, and I think I have buy-in from Amin, and I want to see what you guys think. I want to put up together a Meadowlark Media uniform. Okay.
Will I get more respect on the train?
So here's the thing.
yeah.
As I do, Chris, I'm in shorts and an LSU T-shirt. I walk in with a backpack. They're like, "Who is this guy?
This kid's
What is he doing?"
but the ninth year of college.
Exactly.
No,
What's
but
up with this guy?
Tony's look today is different than the normal Tony look. Tony goes for style here, and here where he's arrived because this outfit of wearing that sweatshirt, it's the middle of summer. It's 174 boiling degrees.
Yeah, but it's also a huge game.
It's
for
a
his LSU
massive game for the
Tigers.
LSU Tigers today. Going against #1 Alabama in our Dynasty League, we have a massive
But
game.
the
The boys
purple,
are absolutely
the
ready.
purple yellow with the mustache and with the Cuban is a specific kind of vibe.
Yeah.
This guy goes into Hialeah every day and he unloads trucks and the produce comes out of the trucks from the back, and that's the job that you have.
And I take the Metro Rail from Dadeland all the way up to Allapattah, and I do it there. Yes, that's what I look like. So with that downcasting of others on me, I see a lot of people, because we work in a city where there's a lot of hospitals, a lot of things. I see a lot of nurses and doctors in scrubs with the white coats.
Yep.
They're like rifling through papers. They're reading things.
Yeah.
They've got masks on still, and I'm like, okay, they must know something. So I see them, and then I look at me, I look at Mike, at Chris, like people that would
I got
be
like a
dressed
phone
like
up
us.
to my ear listening to a Mad Dog clip. I'm like, yeah, this is good.
I'm like, you know what? We don't get the respect we deserve for a job that should be respected. The media should be respected in this country.
used
That's
to be.
that's another tangent. I'll let you go on that one, Dan. But the point is, if we come in with a Meadowlark Media uniform, think of like a mechanic, right, where they have the full-length jumpsuit.
I would like that.
And then we have the name on the side, and it says Meadowlark Media in cursive, and then a patch with our name on it. And then that way we can zip it up, and then it's like, ooh, this guy does something. I don't know what he does. I don't know what Meadowlark Media is, but I'm going to find out.
Think about it. Firefighters, police officers, military personnel,
Respect.
hospitals. We respect them. Why? Because of the uniform, right? We're walking around here like casual Friday every day. If we had a uniform, people would be like, whoa, that place must be cool. It's like the Ghostbusters. What made them cool? Was it the proton packs? No. It was the jumpsuit with the name Venkman on it.
Well, what made them cool is that they could eliminate ghosts.
Well, I mean,
Secondary to the
I'm-
jumpsuit.
you're looking past
I
it.
think I'm on this uniform idea just because of the decision fatigue.
Yeah.
I make more decisions than David Blatt on a daily basis.
Wow,
and
that's
as
a
you
lot of
know,
decisions.
David Blatt makes more decisions than a fighter pilot.
Ooh, fighter pilot
that's a-
uniform.
That's another one.
Dude, we could be like Maverick.
Oh, so we have nicknames instead of our actual names?
Nick, exactly.
I was thinking more. I like the idea. And especially because I don't know if you were judged on the way in today, but I don't think
I for sure was.
I don't think that you were you've ever dressed in a way around here more worthy of judgment than how you're presently dressed today.
Now, Dan, I do have an amendment to Tony's idea, even though, Tony, this might take away from your respect level on the train. But I know what everyone's thinking. It's like, oh, we got to put on this stuff or whatever at home. No, I don't want to get it dirty on the train or on the way over, spill some coffee. This is what we do. When we come in, right where Frankie's desk is, we have some lockers. And so when you walk in, you clock in and you put on the jumpsuit. And then you come in and do the show. And if you're running a little late, sometimes you got to like zip it up while you're coming into the studio. Like,
Yeah, but now you got to install a fire pole.
Well, you guys have it feeling a bit like overalls, and I was thinking more old-timey. I was thinking Hess service station in the 1950s when guys would run out and they'd fill your car with gas and give you a good old-fashioned windshield wiper wipe.
Oh, you know what?
Change your oil?
Amin and Chris, Hess is a good example of what we were talking about before the show. What are products that used to put out banger commercials that still exist, are still making their money, but the banger commercials all of a sudden left? Hess, every holiday season. The Hess pickup truck. The 16-wheeler truck was a big deal. Mentos, Snap-a-Lady.
Dan, you know Mentos, the fresh maker, right? You've popped them. Your life has changed. Why has your life changed when you pop a Mentos? Because of those ads they ran in the 90s and early 2000s.
Oh no! I just got paint on the back of my suit. I better do the rest of it.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, just roll around, and now it's pinstripes, and you're fine for your big interview. They spent billions on marketing in the 90s and early 2000s, and then one day, I don't know if there was a new CEO or CMO or something that said, enough with the marketing. And we don't see any Mentos commercials anymore, but I go to the supermarket, they're right there in the aisle next to the Kit Kats and the Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
I've always wondered about how effective advertising is because I've never thought that it should be worth what it is that's paid for it, and I've always been wrong about it. Because companies prove again and again that it is something that can absolutely make you. And what Amin is saying right now about Mentos, I had not considered before. Now, I haven't seen a Mentos ad in a long time, but I feel like Mentos only got in the candy game because of those ads.
You know what has changed with Mentos, though? Where they have not done commercials, they've paid people, I feel like, to do YouTube videos, to put Mentos inside of Diet Coke, to do the rocket shot.
Yeah.
That's how they're doing their marketing now. Like, if you put Mentos inside of Diet Coke, it's going to explode. And people are like, all right, I'm in.
Now, Tony, the problem I have with that theory is that also is very old. That's like from 2005, 2006.
Mentos as an explosive.
Yeah, like that's not new. I haven't seen any new ones of those videos. I see all the old ones.
The next generation is always curious because they've heard the tale of if you put a Mentos inside of a Coca-Cola, it's going to explode. And you're like, all right, I got to get Mentos. I don't know where I get them, but I got to get them.
Can you guys get me anything in the way of answers on what happened at Mentos that made them shut down their advertising unit in a way that has made Mentos something I see in every place I go? Anytime I go into a gas station, Mentos are available to me. And yet I haven't seen them advertised since commercials where the people looked jaundiced because it's so old that I can't tell whether it's the skin or the film color that makes them so yellow.
I had a car phone.
I forgot about that particular Mentos ad that we just ran for the YouTube audience where there's like a traffic jam and the guy's trying to cross the street. And rather than just walk around the car, he says, I have an idea, pops some Mentos, and then climbs through the back seat of one of these cars and then back out the other end and then shows the driver, Mentos, the fresh maker.
Yeah, I forgot the thread where Mentos made you smarter.
Yeah, but does it? Like, none of these ideas actually seem smart. Rolling around in paint, climbing through a car rather than walking around. But also, I love how the driver of the car, who's like, what the hell's going on? When he sees the Mentos, he's like, oh, okay.
But I just realized, though, we all are watching way less commercials. They could just still exist, and we're just skipping them.
No way we're watching
Where are
less.
you seeing commercials nowadays?
Every time I'm watching a game, 1 million commercials. Every time I'm watching Hulu, 1 million commercials.
You don't pay for the Hulu? Commercial Hulu?
No,
This
I'm
is-
grandfathered in.
This is one of the reasons. It's crazy to me that these streaming services have gotten so much money, more money for sports, but it's because sports is the only thing like that. Sports is the only thing that you're sitting through commercials on anymore because we've made it too addictive to the convenience of I don't have to deal with commercials, and the whole thing exists for commercials. Like the whole thing was built atop, we need to sell you Marlboros in the 1950s.
You know what really bothers me as a motorsports fan? Like NASCAR essentially is a commercial. There's commercials on the cars. Why are we going to commercial during the sport? I don't get that. You're going to a commercial break and you're showing me the trailer for Reagan, but the 54 car has a Reagan paint scheme. Have you seen that, by the way?
Wait,
Banger paint scheme.
Dr. Reagan?
No, not Dr. Reagan.
Oh.
No, the Reagan movie with Dennis Quaid, who prior to this wasn't the ultra-conservative Quaid, but now he is.
I want to, just for a second, marvel at the fact that not only was that Mentos ad featuring a car phone in what appears to be, that seems earlier than the 90s. That seems like an 80s commercial.
That's a 90s commercial.
But that the car phone also isn't just a car phone, but it's got the curly Q wrap that used to go into landlines. That I legitimately haven't seen one of those in 20 years. I used to at Abuela's house, but then she died, and that left my life for
Sorry
good.
for your loss.
Apparently, these Mentos commercials were not only one of the most controversial things going on in pop culture, as people were really polarized on whether they liked them or hated them, but they were such known commercials that in 1991, Mentos sold $20 million worth of hard candies. By 96, they were selling $120 million worth of hard candies.
Tell me the marketing didn't work.
But why'd they quit the marketing? Why did they no longer need the marketing that I haven't seen? When's the last time any of you saw a Mentos commercial?
Last time I saw one, it's been a long time, but I did Google it, and there was one earlier this year where there's like a kid in high school. He takes out his Mentos thing, he pops one, he stands up, and he blows cold breath so far that it blows him like
Oh, yeah.
all the way
It is
through a
a-
wall into the gymnasium.
That was Mentos? I thought
Well,
that
it
was,
is a fresh maker.
Well, I thought that was Orbitz or something. See, that's how bad the marketing is. Like, they did this ad, and I didn't even know it was them because it wasn't branded strong enough as Mentos.
Was that Chuck Norris that just went through that hoop? I wanted to ask you guys something. I had a career, what really felt to me like a career highlight. I thought that I was on the back nine of wherever it is that my career would take me. I didn't think I would arrive in an unprecedented place where I got genuine delight from what I believe to be a career achievement, which is that Stephen A. Smith publicly accused me of being in cahoots with two of the Dolphins and the NFL. And I'd never before been accused of being in cahoots before. I saw it in headlines, Le Batard in cahoots. And I don't know what it means, but I do know what it means. Like, I don't know where it started. I'd like to get more information on what it means, where it began. The first person to use the phrase,
term you're talking
someone was in cahoots with someone else. But I also am delighting in this and finding this to be a career achievement because I have no earthly idea what he's actually accusing me of.
Well, it's pretty clear. He's accusing you of being in cahoots with the NFL and the Dolphins and Tua.
To do what?
To cahoots?
He's saying because the lawsuit going on with Flores that the league is saying to itself, hey, this Flores thing went away. We need some bad pub for him. So people are reminded about this lawsuit and everything he did. Let's get Le Batard on the case. He'll go down. He'll talk to Tua. Tua will say the stuff.
To cahoot with me.
Yes.
Let's cahoot.
Yeah.
That's what the email headline was.
Yes, cahoots. R-E.
Let us cahoot.
Colon cahoots.
Okay, so how does just in theory, how would the Cahoot mastermind plan begin? Am I calling someone and saying, "Hey, do you want to be in cahoots?" or are they calling me and saying
Every bit of that video was orchestrated, from the rolled up paper in your hand to Chris Cote's terrible outfit.
Have you ever seen the movie Wag the Dog, Dan?
Yes.
It's a little bit like that. Like, we're going to put this thing together. We're going to produce this thing that is going to shine a positive light on the NFL, on the Miami Dolphins, on Tua Tagovailoa.
It's a positive light on the
Oh, yes, and a negative light on the dastardly Brian Flores.
Okay.
I got to be honest. I haven't heard the entirety of this Tua interview.
I had a lot.
I've just experienced it really on social media clips. And every time I see Chris Cote, I'm dying laughing. He's a man-child.
Mike, the reason that Mike and Tony are laughing right now is because on the screen, what was put on the screen is just Chris Cote playing with the drawstrings on his shorts.
Which we all do when we're nervous.
in the middle of the Tua interview. But also what he's laughing at is just the general shame of Chris Cote, who is now a redder shade of red than even his very pink calves, freckled calves were in the middle of that interview.
100 degrees outside.
Gigantic mistake to not wear a spinner hat. Would have just completed the entire ensemble.
Or the uniform. Uniform would have helped there.
Oh, it would have helped.
If he looks like a fighter pilot next to Tua, you're like, whoa, who is that guy?
I want you to help me with the uniforms because, again, I'm thinking Hess serviceman. You're thinking fighter pilot. We have a different visual for what it is that should be. But Mike, I'm not kidding you that last night, and again, this is me snapping my fingers and nothing happening. I insisted to an assortment of people, get me a 22-minute Chris cam of just on him during the interview and nothing else.
I'd watch the hell out of that.
Put out that video immediately. This is what I said, and I snapped my fingers and they snap and then nothing happens. I said, get out into the stream right now just what Chris Cote was doing and just one Chris cam. That's what I asked for because it is high comedy. It is to see Chris Cote squirming around in his skin. Again, this is a human being, an executive that the night before I texted, please come presentable tomorrow.
Those are nice shorts. They're Viore.
I'm an adult running a company. You're an adult. You have a child, and today you said you would have been a good first husband.
I'd be a great first husband.
Oh, he'd be so good at it. I actually agree.
I'm great at my wife's like holiday party. No one builds up their spouse better than me. A lot of energy. I'm shaking hands with everyone, saying hello. I say good to see everyone because I don't know if I've met you before. Good to see you.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, nobody's better. I bring energy. I build my wife up when they're not around. I'm like, oh, you should have seen her the other day. She just, with the way she handles my daughter and work, all this. How does she juggle it all?
Oh, man. The
She's
best
a magician.
hype man. He's the best hype man in the studio, folks.
And you're in shorts.
And he's so busy hyping up his wife that I've got to text him, hey, can you wear clothes tomorrow that's not going to embarrass the company? And that's what he chose.
All right, olive green.
Oh.
What?
That's the lashback. Lashing out.
It's a weak rebuttal.
Retaliatory
All right,
strike.
olive green.
Do you know how ridiculous I felt sending a text to Chris Cote
Also closer to taupe.
and Stugotz? Stugotz, please shave. Just please shave. Don't come in smelling like cigarettes and desperation.
I'm pretty sure Jalen Phillips commented on how well I smelled.
I don't know, but I'm just going to use that image of you with Tua and put it as my Twitter banner now.
My favorite visual from
What is he looking at?
I can't.
Chris.
Like, it's just...
What are you looking at?
I'm looking at the camera
Uncomfortable
saying, me in the middle? Really?
Don't make eye contact with the camera.
It's like the only thing you're not supposed to do.
The hands clasped together.
Yeah, you're so uncomfortable with your own hands.
You guys are laughing at all of the correct things to laugh at, but what I'm telling you is that I left that place, okay, with a giant smile on my face, and it wasn't for any of the reasons you guys are citing. It's because they're getting the questions from me, and then because they feel the hot breath on their neck, they're turning around. And so the visual I have is Chris more uncomfortably in their face with his breath than any interviewer has ever been. But they have to acknowledge that he's there, but he's not saying that much. So 4 or 5 minutes will go by, and it's just Chris's teeth too close to Jalen Phillips' face. Or Raheem Mostert is like trying to blow his hot breath away because Chris shouldn't be that close to them.
I've always been an end guy on a couch. I just always have been. Ridiculous.
I can't believe the shorts, man. I can't.
Viore!
But if you were going to go shorts, you'd think you'd go collared shirt. No, not at all. T-shirt, hat,
I'm telling you,
shorts.
the clothes is not the problem here. It's my awkwardness. Okay,
clothes
it's
are not
me
helping.
With it's the string, it's the arms folded, it's the looking around.
You honestly should have taken a Mentos before you got dressed. Maybe rolled around on a park bench, got some stripes on that.
To be clear, in the strategic meeting where I'm going full cahoot, Chris, you're in the middle. You're wearing shorts. You're wearing drawstrings. We're going to do some work on behalf of who are we doing it for? Goodell, the Dolphins, Ross, like who?
The man.
Yeah, all the above.
All of them?
That's who Dan's in cahoots with. Roger Goodell.
Just text Dan, hey, need a favor.
Noted NFL ally, Dan Le Batard.
Well, Mike, I don't know if you know this, but I have revealed to the show yesterday that I am, in fact, a mole working for the NFL and infiltrating Meadowlark Media and just kind of sprinkling a little bit of good NFL goodness. Remember, a couple of years ago, you guys are very anti-NFL. All of a sudden now, Thursday Thunder and all the other types of segments, Tony's
God
Top
Bless
5,
Football.
God Bless Football. We've kind of just brushed over the whole, we can't watch this. This is people being destroyed right in front of our eyes to, hey, who's going to win on Sunday? And you know why? Because the mole went in here tonight. I'm a little bit like a fixer, you know?
Okay, but I still don't understand. I really don't. What the accusation is. Like, if we were to ask Stephen A. Smith an assortment of questions now that really drilled down on what are you saying that I did? The answer to that, but how? Like, what did that look like?
That looks like that. Right there on the
Well,
screen.
you got together with him in a cabin
Yep.
because that's where the origins of cahoots.
Come on.
That's the cahoots right there.
Yeah.
That's cahooting.
You guys got to stop throwing up images of Chris because it's going to make me break every time and people listen to this podcast. And I literally can't keep a straight face. It brings me so much
This
joy.
is the worst angle. Please take this one off.
Oh, you got to tug the shirt, pal.
Oh, God.
This shot right here is called Hello Darkness, My Old Friend. Right? This is Chris staring off into the distance somewhere on the floor there, reevaluating his life. Where did I go wrong? I had probably started when I sat in the middle.
Why are you pointing at Chris?
Chris needs to say what he
Jesse
just told us.
would keep coming up to me in between interviews and just pulling like the shirt out, and I was like, "What's she doing?" And now I see exactly what she was doing. She was being a saint because she was the only one looking out for me.
She was pulling it from underneath like the breast
Everyone else
area
was
and
like,
the stomach area.
Everyone else was like, "Look how terrible he looks. This is fantastic." While Jesse's like, "Chris, can you want to pull this thing out a little bit?"
In my meager defense, as someone who does care about you, I will tell you I noticed nothing happening below your shoulders because of the grinning delight I had at how close your teeth were to the faces of these athletes who did not want that hot breath on the side of their face. Like, you were so close to them, Chris. And when you would ask your question, I want the audience to imagine sitting next to someone on a couch, okay? You're just sitting right next to them. They are adjacent enough. Their shorts are touching your shorts. You now need to make eye contact in the name of television in a way you would not to if you were just having a casual conversation. So you turn to each other, and you're just breaths from kissing. You're too close to each other.
Just way closer than what is comfortable. Like, you're in a position there where it is legitimately intimate to be that close to a person on a couch making eye contact like that. It's my wife and no one else.
I vibed with everyone. There was not a single player that was uncomfortable. Did I stumble there? Did I misspeak, guys? Did I stumble or?
They liked you. They did like you. I would say that you were the softener that opened up to
more ways than one.
to the most honest Tua any of us have ever heard publicly. He is this privately. People know that about him at camp, but publicly he does not do what he did. And I'm going to give you the credit.
Thank you.
As part of all our cahooting efforts, the secret weapon that Stephen A. Smith had not accounted for was old drawstrings, pulling all the drawstrings.
Dan Le Batard.
I mean, they used to call me Chris Karaoke.
Stugotz.
That back row is bringing it today.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
I want to make some executive choices here with the group because a video came in here because I snapped my fingers and finally somebody read a text that was sent late last night. And they offered me two different options that we can go full screen right now with just Chris Cote throughout the Tua interview, just so that you can observe his discomfort throughout, or we can go picture in picture. And I do not want to alienate the audio audience, but I am urging the audio audience to watch some of this on YouTube.
It has to be full screen, Dan.
Okay, so you're saying we should knock out for the next 20 minutes. We should be picture in picture, and we should just let a giant Chris Cote lord over us.
Wow.
Well, no, but he's
right.
The
You
camera's
have to call
very
him giant,
close to
I
him.
mean.
No, but he looks bigger than the quarterback of the Dolphins. Like, what do you?
That's perspective.
Okay, but again, it's the camera angle. Tua has lost
Definitely the angle.
a
for
good.
sure.
Tua has lost a good amount of weight, but Chris Cote looks like he's Lord. Chris Cote is making it look like that Tua is the Billy Gill in the Billy Gill Super Bowl photo that we have of Billy Gill sitting next to Derrick Henry and looking like someone very small.
Dan, to be very clear, Chris, I am not fat shaming. Your body is the least funny thing to me.
It's a temple.
It's your face. Your facial expressions.
Very awkward.
You looking around, you breaking the fourth wall, looking at the camera, looking down, looking around.
I assume when Tua's talking that I can do what I want because they're on him. So it's like I can look over at Danny. We can have an eye contact thing. Like, I'm not good at this.
Chris, I'm telling you, okay, I mean, I need your help and I need to get the attention of the group. I'm telling you, we got 5 other interviews where Chris Cote is sitting there, and we've just now scratched the surface on what this looked like to me as I sat across from it. Because Chris was also having trouble speaking on occasion
Come on.
because of the general discomfort of what he was sitting right in the middle of a place where he was physically uncomfortable. And I could watch him crawling around in his own skin saying, my shorts are nice, right, Dan?
Fiore.
He just adjusted them right now, kind of tugged them out. They were riding up a little bit. Look. There you go. Oh, nice little interaction there with Tua. Yeah. You're laughing a little too hard at your own joke, though.
Kind of resting my elbows on my belly. God damn it. Mike warns me about that.
Nice clap. Touch Stugotz. Stugotz is trying to be a good teammate, laughing too much with a fake Stugotz laugh. I don't even have to hear it. I can just see it on his face. And now, demure again.
What should I do with my hands in this spot? Like, I'm awkwardly with them folded in my lap. Should I have gone around Tua?
Yes.
Yeah, number
At
one.
some point, there was a voice in your head that said, play with your drawstrings. That's what you should do.
Caressing my knee now out of uncomfortableness.
Play with your drawstrings. That's totally chill vibe, dude. You're killing it.
A lot of lip bites. That you're doing. You're biting your
That's
lip.
to look thinner.
To look thinner?
Yeah.
Do
Your
that
face
now?
never looks thinner than when you're biting your lip.
So now put him in a Hess uniform.
Or jumpsuit.
What is the uniform of Meadowlark Media going to be? Because I can get behind this idea.
Maybe we have different ones. Like maybe C-Suite has their own, right? And then the next tier down has its own, and then the next tier down has its
like
own.
Star Trek.
Oh.
Chris, how would you have felt? Wouldn't you have been more comfortable
Terrible.
in a uniform?
I think at this point I would have been more comfortable nude.
No.
I think for whatever reason, the outfit is less flattering to your body than if you were nude.
Dude, Tua's talking to you and you're just staring up into the sky. I don't know what's going on there.
Chris, I would like to get to the place. I mean, I love, all the Between Two Ferns stuff and Jiminy Glick. I would love to get to a place where I could sit you down nude in there without telling Jalen Phillips that we're going to spend 12 minutes just talking about how beautiful he is.
Naked Chris, we've been there, done that.
Yeah.
I think I should have been behind the couch, just emerging whenever I had a question. That would have been the best. Then I could hide my torso.
That would have been funny if your head had popped out at various points, and that next year Okay, remind me next year we're going to do that where you pop out every once in a while behind people with questions.
In this couch scene that we're looking at on YouTube right now, it looks like Chris is in the middle of a parent-teacher conference, and like Tua and Stu are his parents, and the teacher's just ripping into Chris, and he's just there like, yeah, come on, sorry. He didn't do his homework. He's talking in class. He's a constant disruption. I have to send him to detention all the time.
You were worried most about what? Angle on belly? Like
being in the middle, I just knew it was a losing spot right from the go. Yeah. I was like, what do I do with my arms?
Stugotz in the corner didn't help you either because he crosses his leg and then puts his left arm around you, which gives you absolutely no room and allows him to block his own belly. So as you're looking from that camera angle, the only belly that can be seen is yours.
Yes.
And then these incredibly ripped football players next to you further away. The perspective is just awful for
Chris,
you.
I'm telling you, it's not your belly. Everyone's trying to make it about your belly.
Thank you,
Absolutely not. It's about
the
your
man
face.
boobs.
It's about you.
It's your face. Your face and your hands.
That nipple is perky.
Oh, well, it's Tua's right next to him.
What were you most worried about on the way in? Because you requested this assignment. This is something that you wanted
I thought I
to
could
do.
add to it, and I did.
Look
at what we're doing
you
right
did.
now.
Another lip bite.
You did.
I didn't leave there. I honestly left there saying, we did some good content. I hope I don't look as fat as I feel. And I do.
He's nodding. He's like, yes, I do.
Well, but did you also do any of the math in your head? Wait a minute. This has the potential to be one of those things that goes out there, and now it's not going to be a little local joke
I did not
anymore.
think I was going to go viral. I didn't think I did anything like that. It's just like I'm like this level of fat where sometimes I look at myself and I'm like, oh, you look good. And sometimes I look at myself and I look like this. So it's like I just was like, I hope this is one of those times where I look and it isn't.
Chris, I'm feeling bad. I'm not laughing at your body. I'm laughing at the outfit choice and also
It's
just
the
your
face.
general being.
No,
there,
I'm
because
awkward.
You look so awkward.
That's how that part is genuinely funny to me.
Exactly.
How awkward I look, just like zooming in on my face when he's talking, and I'm just like nodding along. Yes, I agree. Awkward.
Were there any rejected outfits? Like when you get that text from me in the middle of the night, and I'm like, and I'm saying to you, please.
I thought this was a safe outfit. It's like a shirt with nothing on it, and
He's
black
asking you.
shorts.
He's asking you.
How do you
were there other
receive?
ones
How
that
do
were
you
like-
receive the text from me the night before to you and Stugotz? Can you guys be presentable tomorrow, please?
It was either this or a Mike McDaniel shirt, like that cool shirt where he looks cool. So I was like, all right, Dan said be professional, so I'm going to go with the neutral shirt.
Presentable. I didn't even ask for professional. I asked for not unhoused.
This is presentable. It might not be a good look, but this is not an embarrassing look.
You just call him an unhoused gentleman.
I did. I didn't want to go hobo there, and I didn't want to go homeless. So I went unhoused. Yes, please. Presentable is all I was asking.
Can we
for.
move on?
Yeah, we should. But just leave that image on the screen. The
Please
whole
keep
show.
the video up.
Yeah,
we
I
can-
promise not to react to it.
We can move on if I get answers to three of my questions.
The squint and stare up into the sky.
Three of my questions, and then I will move on. One, what does the uniform look like? Two, give me specifics on what it is that I'm being accused of if we were to interrogate Stephen A. Smith and ask him to tell me what it looks like that we did, what kind of strategic things were done. I want an answer to both of those things.
I think we've explained both of those things, uniform and also the NFL strategized with Tua's camp and you to make Brian Flores look bad because they're presently embroiled in a lawsuit.
Now, the question is, what uniform would you like to wear, Dan?
Okay.
That's where we can start.
Well, I don't want to start there because it's the in cahoots part. To be clear then, I am working against the black man in power. I'm working with the white man and the league
And the beige man.
and the beige man.
And the whatever Tua is, man.
He's Samoa.
No,
Two-
but what color is that?
I think the NFL's using you here, Dan. You're not.
You guys brown?
I don't see Dan as a big part of this. Dan's just like, we need Flores to get ripped. Tua's in Miami. Who's in Le Batard. Like, you just kind of were a perfect fit for what they needed.
Yeah,
You're the pawn.
who's a pawn that has carried our water consistently? Dan Le Batard.
Who will play ball? Who will
Clearly.
play ball?
Who's an asset
Yeah.
that can be turned?
Yeah.
I said I got one.
Yeah. Do we
And they sent me
go?
to Miami.
What's Alzagari doing right now? I don't know if he has a platform. Yeah, we need reach. What's Le Batard up to these days? YouTube, DKN. That's perfect. That's all I'll do.
Woke ESPN is accusing me of trying to bury the black man,
That's right.
Brian Flores.
We've ended up on opposite sides of the spectrum all of a sudden.
Yeah, you're innocent and aloof, kind of like Chris in these clips. You don't know that you're being used. You're just happy for the access.
Reality just switched sides, Dano.
The third answer to the question that I want is I want a genuine, honest response to, you received the text from me. That is, you've never received a text from me.
I had 3 outfits laid out on a bed.
Caring about your presentation.
I had 3 outfits laid out on a bed. I get that text. I go, that's the one right there.
So
Maroon and Viore.
Outfit 1 was what you went with. Outfit 2 was Mike McDaniel, cool shirt. What was outfit 3?
I think the third one was just like, I forget, like some white shirt or something.
And it was shorts all the way across.
I had a pair of joggers too. I was going to go jogger. I should have gone joggers in hindsight. But I know they're saying that it was sure we were going to be inside, but I had seen Slack things that had led it to believe that we weren't sure exactly, and I didn't want to be outside in long pants. So.
Did the joggers have drawstrings?
Plus, I knew we were interviewing Jalen Phillips, and I knew he was going to rock those like skin-tight practice pants, and I wanted to do a shorts thing with him. So that was part of... It was content related why I went with shorts.
No
but in
collared
hindsight,
shirt.
Like college, like, what are you doing? He's not wearing a collared shirt. I mean,
Yeah, no, he is though. He's got an overshirt over his other shirt that has a collar on it.
Who's he? Are you talking
Dan.
about? Oh,
I meant two.
I thought they meant two.
Tua's in camp. Yeah, like, you know how Tua's aesthetic.
Yeah, me in a collared shirt. That's what we need.
I think it is.
I just think that your face, if you had just
had a better face, yeah.
Yeah, the collar would also help the face.
Would it? Would it help him look engaged? Because look at him right now. He's just and then
look at my eyes. He's saying something. This happened a few times where I'm like, oh shit, Tua's saying something right now.
Look at the hard jam. Look at the hard jam afterwards. Still playing with the dead skin
because
on
I
your
know.
fingers.
Oh, Tua's crushing this right now. They're for sure just locked in on him. I can look around like, holy shit, this is awesome.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Does the collared shirt give you credibility? I am urging, again, audio audience. I know that over the last 3 years, we have tested you some on familiarity, comfort, and intimacy as we've tried to become also a video product. And I'm not trying to exclude you, but the amount of laughter in this room is absolutely present because we're all just watching Chris Cote's unspoken discomfort on the screen, and every second is funnier than the last.
Dan, we strive, as always, to include the audio audience to kind of give verbal descriptions and stuff. I'm telling the audio audience right now, look, I'm not asking you to change how you consume the show on a day-to-day basis. I'm saying today, you need to pull up the YouTube. You need to pull up the video and take a look at this because it's hilarious and our words could never do it justice. What's that movie when they said, oh, they should have sent the poet? A poet could not capture what this is.
Well, be happy. On your point, you'll be happy to know, audience, that the entirety of our Tua interview, the Chris Cote ISOCAM edition, is now live on our YouTube page, youtube.com/@LeBatard Show. If you want the director's cut of Chris Cote's ISOCAM.
The reason I wanted and bring up all of this, okay, there is actually, I am in cahoots with management on this one, okay? We spent a lot of money last year to go to a Super Bowl after a season of hope, and the Dolphin season ended as soon as we made those plans. Chris Cote is a lifetime Dolphin fan. It's handed down in his family. He's the third biggest Dolphin fan in his family. Greg Cote is second. And Chris Cote's mom is first.
Happy birthday to her, by the way.
This, you should give her the happy birthday Stephen A. Smith sound.
Happy birthday to her. I don't care. Good luck.
Happy birthday to Orlean, who is getting no thanks or gratitude from the diva Greg as she plans his 70th birthday party, which is a huge pain in the ass with his coworkers because they don't know how to dress, they don't know how to do interviews, they don't know how to get things on time. And get to places on time. They're Wolverines. I explain that to everyone who joined Metal Arc since our beginnings at the Clevelander when they'd leave a kitchen with just dishes and half-eaten things. Yes, you're trying to train Wolverines here to behave like human beings. We have struggled over the last 3 years trying to get this to the video product. What do you guys are still laughing?
Playing with the damn drawstring again.
Twirling it on his finger.
A cute little bundle. He's so freaking cute.
The Panthers made some of you care about this show and the Panthers and hockey because you were tied to our allegiances. Mike Ryan's Heat allegiances, his Panther allegiances, Roy's Panther allegiances. The Cotes care about nothing in sports the way they care about the Dolphins. So Chris Cote is sitting next to the quarterback who represents the greatest hope this franchise has had this century. And he's nervous, and he's scared, and he knows what he's in the middle of.
All right, take this off the screen. It's available on YouTube. Like, I
like a
can't
little
do this for the
arm to
show. I
point it
can't
to
look at
a-
this anymore.
Had a nice little flare of the arms there, added something, immediately tugs down the shorts.
I am schwitzing right now.
Chris, only
Drawstrings are back!
Chris, only 10 more minutes of this. There are only 10 more minutes of you.
I need deodorant.
Did you have sweat
So
stains?
freaking cute.
I have them
man.
now. Like, just watching this back is making me sweat. I don't like
So
this.
cute. God, I
Drawstrings,
want to hug you.
drawstrings.
What am I doing?
I'm telling you, I left that. I was in my car. You could have told me, did you play with your drawstrings? And I would have been like, not once. Not once. I have no recollection of ever touching my drawstrings. That is a complete just nervous, thing I'm doing there.
Gingerly pinching them right there. Now
I do the rest of the arms on the belly move.
No, they're back. Drawstrings are back. Drawstrings are back.
Chris, so just not to interview you about this interview that we've already talked about 4 days too many, but everything that happened there, your appraisal as you're walking through that parking lot, sweating and wondering how people practice in this because you're sweating on the way to your car. You were saying, we crushed it, I crushed it, and this we had a good work day. And you're
Yes, I was like, we crushed it. This is going to be good content. Tua said stuff. Like, I was, feeling really good. I did have, like I already said, I did have in the back of my head, please, hopefully this isn't one of those times where I look really fat. But, you live and you learn.
And now he's tying them. Now he's untied them.
Christ.
Yes, stop playing with the drawstrings. Oh my God, this is like when Chris Farley interviewed Paul McCartney and was like, "Remember when you were in the Beatles?"
Tua liked me.
He does.
We could hang out.
There definitely is a chemistry going on right there, except when you're playing with your drawstrings.
You think Tua left that and was like, dude did not stop playing with his
No, I
drawstrings.
think he
don't know
left
what's
that
going on
that.
there.
That kid would be a good hang. I think that's what he left there saying.
Everybody does like Chris Cote. I'm just curious, Chris, in all the places where this video played yesterday, do you think somewhere sweeping across ESPN as it's on video, there's an executive somewhere saying, didn't we let that guy go?
And they regretted it right there.
There's a talent scout somewhere going,
Damn it.
who's in the middle? Yeah. Everyone shut up for a second. Who? What's his name? Who's he rep by?
When's his deal up?
Everyone shut up. I'm watching.
Drawstrings is available. He's a free agent. Drawstrings.
Ooh, I
is
like that
available.
move.
He's a free agent.
He's really making Tua comfortable with those drawstrings.
Find out his status. Stat. I need to know who reps drawstrings.
I saw Stephen A. using this tactic yesterday while interviewing someone. He must have seen it and been like, that was good.
My new favorite feature of this interview is the way your eyes just go bug-eyed all of a sudden sometimes. You just open your eyes wide and you look around. Sometimes looking at Dan.
I think each time there, if we had the audio on that, I'm guessing that what you'd see is that is Chris legitimately discovering, oh, Tua just said something interesting there. He surprised me. I was not expecting that. I think that happened 4 or 5 times to Chris's face. What are you doing?
Man, the air guitar fell
guitar.
so flat. Like,
Yeah.
that made me
He
sweat.
was like,
Back
what?
to the drawstring.
Because I was like, oh, you have a guitar, right? You're a guitar player. You don't have it with you. How about how's your air guitar? I hit him with it.
Drawstrings again. Oh!
Look at his face when he says it.
You said that you didn't have any recollection of you touching your drawstrings. It's been 6 consecutive minutes
I would
of you
have bet.
fiddling with them.
I would have bet you $100 that I didn't touch my drawstrings once.
He touched the tips gingerly.
Well,
of
that's
each
what you
drawstring.
do. I mean, come on. If you're touching drawstrings, you touch the tips. That's what you do. You're either tying or touching tips.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
I
Mike
hate
just
this
gave
so
up.
much. You can feel the sweat. Can you feel the sweat?
I
on
feel
my
for you. We have rarely done this for an hour, trampolining on somebody. People are writing in, wait a minute, you guys don't actually like each other's jokes that much. Why is everyone roaring with fake laughter? And I'm like, this is as happy as I've seen this group in a year.
So happy I got scheduled today. So happy.
Chris content.
This is making me so happy.
Fake laughter. Well, in a shrinking media market, I do want to ask you this, Chris Cote, because I think there's a lane for you here. Like, there are many people at the sports media trough. Everyone is making content, and content is being consumed everywhere. And I have found, that the evolution of the take has put us in a place where Emmanuel Acho is like the new computer on how it is to talk to an audience, saying twice as many words as need to be said, at least in part because you often have to fill 2 hours when you only have 1 hour's worth of news. And so everybody on these shows, everywhere in their life, me included, get too talkative because of the amount of time you're asked to make content. But Emmanuel Acho looks to me like the evolution of the take creature that I have not seen before, where it is very calculated for attention. And I know that Bayless, spawned that original. He's the OG of that stuff. But to see it evolved in a young athlete who's trying to get aggregated, like actively trying to get aggregated with things that he's saying, has a level of self-awareness in it that I think is surprising to me, to have it be that craven.
The human algorithm, right? Like, it's completely bred in this environment of have to have an opinion on everything, right? And that opinion has to be delivered with the gravitas of, I know a lot and you don't know anything, and I'm going to explain it to you. Here's how, right? Like, that's every kind of take that he delivers is of that nature. And I think you're saying that he's self-aware. I think he's self-aware that he's delivering a take. I think he thinks his takes are impeccable. Like, I think he really thinks he's delivering. I don't think he's like, watch me shovel this pablum and watch them fall for it. I don't think he's thinking that. I think he's thinking, oh, I got him with this one. They're not ready for this. And instead, I think many of us look at it as that's kind of real banal analysis that you're given.
The reason I asked the question of you is because there's a seat open on Fox, and Chris is saying the talent scouts are noticing old drawstrings here. I
got an email.
I think you, Paul Pierce, and Keyshawn Johnson. I don't know who's going to get in any of those seats, right? Do you guys know where Skip Bayless is going to end up? Football's about to start. He's going to be on somewhere, right? He's not going to.
It doesn't appear so. And there's actually been a fair amount of conjecture that show's just going to go away. Wow. And they'll create new shows. And they're making higher. Danny Parkins appears to be on his way to Fox.
I'm saying new seats are about to become available, and you may have noticed that Mike Greenberg has gotten another job at ESPN.
Has he?
Yes.
Oh, that's great news. I'm so happy for that. That young man has been grinding. Yeah. For him to finally get an opportunity like that is huge.
Do you think he ever gets to do the cycle and host like Baseball Tonight at some point, and then also NHL Tonight? And then now he's done all four. Because now he's done NBA Countdown, and he's done NFL Count. He's doing NFL Countdown. That's two big ones on his Thanos glove. He still needs to host Baseball Tonight. And then what's the hockey one called? Is it called NHL Tonight? Or does it have a hockey night?
Again, though, woke ESPN, letting go of Sam Ponder and a clear DEI hire there, replacing her with Mike Greenberg. Woke ESPN always doing things like that, as you know. But
how does
he's a great broadcaster. Those things are harder to do than you can imagine. The hosting, making those things smooth is harder than you can imagine.
Dan, I'm confused because there's still this narrative, and I think a lot of these people are operating in bad faith when I guess it gets clicks and traction that ESPN is woke, and they just made this decision clearly because of the Algerian boxer thing. We'll just bypass the RG3 thing and we'll just make this about the Sam Ponder thing, which is just in bad faith because I'm really confused as to how this narrative still exists, in large part due to me not working at ESPN anymore because of where we fell on the political spectrum over there. And you can say what you want. I think everyone is deduced that we're gone because of being political, I guess, even though I'd argue against that largely. I think we were making societal points and observations, but we're not there, and it's not because we weren't woke enough for Disney. That's not what happened.
Mike, we were once a very woke show, but then I came down here on behalf of Roger Goodell, and I've brought us back, baby. I dragged you guys right of center. And you guys, you don't know it, Dan, but I guess you're finding out now. You're in cahoots.
Thank you. I appreciate finally someone explaining it to me. Only made better if one of us had been in a uniform. And I still need to decide what that uniform should be because fighter pilots is ridiculous.
Come on.
You know what? This is the line. I'm losing weight.
What?
I'm doing it.
No, please don't.
I say this like 3 times a year, but this is one of them.
We're shaming you into a diet. This segment.
It's
a lifestyle change.
This is like you guys are commenting on how awkward I am in my face. This is just me looking at the chest area and just being like, it's time.
I'm sorry.
That slow turn, look at 2, and then slow turn back. I just want to know what's going on through your mind right now, Chris.
Why am I in the middle?
How do you look?
We have a Peloton partnership if you'd like to explain.
All right, here, one more poll. All right, last poll here. Allocate 10 championships, titles, cups for your favorite teams or athletes for the next 10 years. How do you spread out the titles? So 10 championships for whatever team, player that is your favorite for the next 10 years. How do you allocate those championships? 10 titles. 10 titles.
This is tough.
3 for the Marlins, 7 for FIU.
Wow.
What sport?
Football.
Wow. 7 in a row? A seven piece?
No, over the next 10 years. You win 7 over the next 10 years. Three over 10 years for the Marlins would be amazing.
That's huge.
Right?
That's a dynasty.
Then 7 for a college football team. You're talking about like,
greatest team of all time.
Everything changes.
Well, also, past those 7 titles, now you have like that legacy, championship legacy. It's going to help you.
That's what I'm saying.
Past the 10
Everything
years.
changes.
Is
the
this
stadium
over
is
the
now
next
2
10 years?
levels. Like the crowd is insane. Like over the next 10 years.
So this is specifically
changes.
take these 10 championships, spread them out over the next 10 years in particular.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, it changes your program entirely.
Very dominant time in South Florida sports happening right now.
my God.
10 years in a row.
Yeah. Can you imagine 7 out of 10 for FIU?
It would be amazing.
That'd be crazy. I like that, Billy.
1 would change everything. 7. Oh,
imagine you have.
FIU just making the playoffs would be huge for them.
There's no recruit you couldn't get. The money would.
You
be
become
flowing in.
Alabama.
You have a massive alumni base as it is. You win 7 national titles in 10 years.
You're locked in.
I didn't even think about that. Our alumni base is gigantic.
It's enormous.
Yeah.
It's a massive one.
I think they're like 5th or 6th in terms of like student population, and like in the entire country, it's just a commuter school. 7 national titles. Oh.
Where we have
Shula Bowl wouldn't even happen anymore.
FAU, we don't even schedule them.
Exactly right. No, thank you, FAU.
Where would the stadium be? You'd have to do it at Hard Rock because there's too many people.
It's set up to add a second level. That'd be too.
Well, also there's a lot of land there because the only thing next to it is like the big parking lot,
Tamiami Park.
and then Tamiami Park. Yeah,
They had that whole thing where like there was a vote for FIU to expand into the fairground. And the fair
that happened,
people-
by the way. What happened with that?
Well, because they had to. I believe.
Politics?
No, like the fair had like a 30-year lease or something, I believe, and then like FIU, I think, and don't quote me on this, which is like a weird thing to say as I'm going to tell you, but like I think FIU needed to come up with like a comparable plot of land that the fair people would accept, and they're just not going to accept anything. So you're
That
basically-
feels
yeah, you're basically just they're like, nah, I'm good.
Seven national
We
titles.
have this amazing one. No,
Seven national titles.
Change
You
the
start
whole
talking to
story.
some commissioners.
might be a little
Get them out of
different.
here. Goodbye, fair. We
Tony,
now
what
have
about
a
you
dope
on this
stadium.
one?
This is tough. 10 championships for the next 10 years. I'd probably give. I'd probably give the Heat 3.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give the Heat 3. I'll give Kirk Cousins 1.
Wow.
That's so
Wow.
weird. So weird.
Choosing an individual player here.
That's 4.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd give Kirk 1.
Wherever he is.
Wherever he is.
So could be Atlanta, could be somewhere else.
Exactly right.
All right.
So that's 4. I'd give.
You should just give like every quarterback that you've been hot on.
I know.
A Super
I'm
Bowl,
trying to
so
think.
that you could Jalen Hurts Super Bowl. Like everybody.
Jalen Hurts, I'd give 2 Super
That's
Bowls
funny.
too.
Can I take one
That's
away
6.
from FIU and give one to Tua?
Yeah. Do it.
Wherever
It
he
might
is,
be a
or
little
only with
late.
the Dolphins.
It might be a little late.
I wanted to work with the Dolphins.
Yeah.
You know what?
What if they don't re-sign him?
Forget it.
What if they don't
FIU
re-sign him?
gets 7.
Okay.
Change my mind.
So what am I at? I'm at 6, I think. I gave 6.
1 to Cousins, 2 to Hurts, 3 for the Heat.
3 for the Heat. 2 for FIU.
Wow.
2-time damn.
Let's go. Back to back. I would give. Let's see. I got 2 left.
Football or basketball for FIU?
Football. And then I'd give the Canes 2. Yeah.
So you want the Canes and FIU to each have 2 championships
Yes,
down
going back
here.
and forth. Yes.
That'd be insane.
Going back and forth.
Could you imagine
I'd give
that
the
in
Canes 2.
4 years? Like just
Gross.
back to back to back to back between the 2 alternating? That'd be insane.
Jeremy?
So as much as I want to give the Heat 10 titles just because it would be fun for me at work, I'll say the Heat 4
Okay.
because I could use that. I would say UCF football 2, UCF basketball 1 because the March Madness run is always fun. So now I'm at 7.
Yeah.
Give the Marlins 2
9.
and the Dolphins 1 only because I haven't seen them win a championship. I've seen the Panthers win a championship.
I'm going to do mine really fast. It's going to be 8 for the Dolphins, 1 more than the Patriots. Right? There you go.
Nice.
So we're on
nice.
1 for FIU football.
Wow.
And then 1 for FIU basketball. Because
Yeah, it's fun. There's something about a March Madness.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, it would be
Yeah,
fun.
it'd be
fun.
great.
Yeah.
We didn't do any college basketball. We should have.
Dan Le Batard.
Cheaters never prosper.
Stugotz.
I ain't cheating.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Does this guitarist feel good about
JT Daly? Yeah, he felt great from our chart-topping number-1 musical.
But does he feel great thinking back to the time working in boxes? Forgive me for forgetting JT's name. Working amid boxes to try and make people who can't sing make a musical. It's one of the great achievements of Metal Arc Media, which we'll soon celebrate with uniforms.
Yeah.
Have an update on that. Again, if we get you at the hierarchy, at the top of the food chain, top of the pyramid with what you want to wear, then we can fill out the rest of it. I've already had people reach out to me, tell me that they can make a uniform possible. We just got to get yours fitted first, and then we can work our way down.
So you're clearly a 5-star, right? Because you have 5-star generals, and we should invoke the military. Because I want at least 3.5 stars here. Wow. That's what I'm angling for.
Well, thank you for bringing up the military, because I was looking at a list. You know, sports people love lists of the worst jobs in the world. Oh. And military was number 1, which isn't something that I would have considered beforehand. I would have thought something in sewage. Something deep in the bowels of the sea, having to fix sewage pipes would be where I would go with some of that.
I would nominate sitting in the middle, awkwardly, of an interview with someone you admire.
But what would you guys nominate? Because we have great jobs. These are ridiculous jobs. Anytime any of us are complaining about our jobs, it has to be laughable to people who legitimately work for a living, or the great many people that we keep company because they're in jobs that they don't like, and we make the job go by a little faster because they're not thinking about how miserable they are in their jobs. But what are the worst jobs? Because I like that television show. That'll grab me for 9 minutes every time. Worst Jobs television show, if that's on anywhere, I will stop for a second and just be grateful for my life as I see someone having to do some job that I couldn't possibly do.
Recruiting coordinator. I don't speak from experience. I just assume that, recruiting high schoolers around the clock is a very difficult thing.
I submit to you guys, I discovered what the worst job in America at least is. I won't speak for the rest of the world.
Can you stop for a second, though? Do you mind if I just give this list? Because I don't think that yours is going to be on
Definitely not on any
this list. So let me just give you a countdown of 13 worst jobs. Number 13 is roofer. Number 12 is pest control technician. Number 11 is firefighter. Number 10 is construction. Number 9 is personal care attendant.
What's that mean?
8 is photographer. 7, line cook. 6, cleaner. 5, telemarketer. 4, retail sales associate. 3, fast food attendant. 1, taxi driver. 2 taxi driver and 1 military soldier.
I thought 2 was Christmas. Raiders head coach, not on the list.
Yeah. What would you go with? I mean, you because those didn't seem like those are just jobs.
Those are jobs. Those are jobs, and they all have their struggles, Dan. They all have their difficulties. But upon arriving in Miami, this trip right here that I'm here on, I discovered what the worst job is. I step off the plane. I'm walking through the concourse, exit, go out down these escalators, down to where baggage claim rideshare pickup is, and before you exit these sliding doors, there's a big sign that says, after you go past this line, you can never go back. And in order to enforce that, there is a TSA agent who sits right there who is not allowed to use their phone and does not have someone else with them to talk to. They just have to sit there with their eyes open, staring at people walk out and making sure no one walks in. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the worst job in America.
I'm imagining, if there's a rotation, they all have to do that once a shift for, an hour, or it's there's one guy that's this is my thing. I do this, I don't do anything else.
Chris, if it's an hour or if it's 8 hours.
Oh, it's bad. Yeah,
it's
I'm with you.
Awful. You can't do anything. You can't read a paper.
And I feel like if someone walks just past the door and they realize they forgot their phone on the plane, I'm letting them back in. I'm go right ahead.
That's
Go
your
right.
ass.
You go right. I
That's your
just
ass.
saw you. I'm
That's-
security, and I just saw you. It's not like
You're in cahoots. You've committed a federal crime of some
I just
sort.
know
there.
that this person just walked by
Chris,
me. If there's any doubt, I don't let him in.
It's the only low-level job in which if you mess up just once, you could be arrested, fined, and imprisoned.
But he forgot his phone on the plane. I just saw him walk by me.
Likely story.
You gotta go walk right past through the security again.
I want you guys to imagine the person who's been sitting in that seat silently without distraction for 40 years trying to get to retirement, and this is the day that you've stepped over. That person's going to hit you with 4 decades of resentment on you stay over there, you're not allowed back in here. That's not a happy person. Yet that is, the job he's describing is terrible. We can't, with the addictions we now have to stimuli, I am giving someone solitary confinement to tell them to just sit there for 7 hours, and you got to raw dog it. It's 7 hours of just sit there.
The ultimate raw dog. Because then even you talk about sewer workers. Yes, you smell terrible. Yes, it's gross down there. But you're doing something, right? Number one. And number two, you can pass the time. You got some AirPods on. You can listen to some music while you're doing your thing. You got other people working with you. You're talking. This thing, you can't do anything. You just have to sit there and take it.
Does that sound like torture? It has to the young people in our audience because there are very few among us, whether it's yoga or meditation, that can still their mind that way. I just don't know many of them who aren't Buddhist levitating monks. Like, I would imagine that those people would say to you, no, that's a great way to make a living. I could be there in my own thoughts, in my own spirit for 7 hours.
You can't be in your own thoughts. You know why? Because someone might walk back in.
But hey, I forgot my phone, and
you
you're
gotta
daydreaming
have
all of a
some
sudden.
level of attention.
And it's a grenade, not a phone.
Have you guys seen the evolution of raw dogging? It used to be on, we talked a few months ago, planes. You raw dog a flight where it's like, I'm just going to stare straight ahead.
Well,
now,
it started somewhere else.
The latest trend, workplaces. Raw dogging a work day. Of just like, I'm going to go to work. I'm not going to answer an email. I'm not going to make a phone call. I'm just going to sit there.
Stugotz has been doing that for 20 years.
Why is it, Chris, that someone is doing that? That seems like, are you rebelling against the system? Are you rebelling against the idea of work?
It's more just like, can I pull it off type thing. Like, I think we just like, I'd like Tony one day to try to raw dog a work day where it's like, we get to late in the show. It's like, has Tony said anything today?
I think I'm catching Taylor raw dogging right now.
You guys think, do you realize what kind of punishment it would be if we made a grid of death punishment? And I don't know if we're doing that again this year, but if we gave the punishment of you have to just sit there for 7 hours, wow. you can go have lunch in the middle. In the middle, you can go have lunch.
2 bathroom breaks.
Yes, but it's going to be 3.5 hours lunch, 3.5 hours. That's how you're going to do that. Do you realize what a suffering that would be for people in this place?
Bad.
And you can't talk to anyone, no communication.
Is there a two-way interview going on around me?
Do I have drawstrings?
Yeah, I get drawstrings, yeah. I think the TSA officer, if he or she has drawstrings, they can play with said drawstrings, right? So that's
It can be distracting. Uniform, though, no drawstrings.
That's
you
true.
got a belt.
Go back to uniform.
I learned something, about Tony the other day that didn't just shock me. It shocked Jessica, too, actually. I wish she were here for this because I think Jessica is more of an outdoorsman than all of us combined. She was shocked to learn that Tony, for the first time recently, as someone who is now older as a dad, more responsible, checking the perimeter, growing up, that Tony, for the first time in his life, I don't know if it's because he had a Cuban dad, or whether Cuban dad paid a bunch of people to Cuban dad.
You speak from experience?
Oh, I know. Yes. Well, my father I cut lawns. There's still a lawn in Miramar that I tore up because I was cutting lawns at 10 years old. But I can have many examples of not being able to change a tire, all sorts of things my father did not teach me. But cutting a lawn was one of them. Tony cut the lawn for the first time last week. First time in his life.
Never done it. Dan, you're looking at a cutting the lawn virgin right here. Don't even know. I wouldn't even know how to start a lawn.
Does weed whacking count? Because I once weed whacked like the side of my grass area.
So I weed whacked the entire lawn.
Wait, you don't have a lawnmower?
No, which I just recently found out not the way to do it. You need to get a lawnmower. And I was like, I got a weed whacker.
Did he mow a lawn?
Well, wait a minute.
He whacked the lawn.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Can you mow a lawn with just a weed whacker?
Oh,
because
I did.
I don't think you have yet.
You just
though.
whacked it.
So here's the issue, right? I grew up where my dad was like, hey, we pay a guy to do the lawn service. It was like $20 a week or whatever it was, and the guy came over and did it, and like I never had to worry about it, right? I did other handy tasks around the house or whatever, but cutting lawns was one that I had never done before. So now we move into a new place. It's a townhouse, so it's not a massive yard. It's like maybe 6 feet on one side with a 6 foot like little kind of stone
that's
thing
a whacker.
with another 6 on the other side. So we're talking about 12 feet possibly of
That's cute.
of lawn, right?
Adorably small.
So I'm like, it's getting long. The yard is getting very long, and my wife kind of like opens the shade and is like, "Are you going to take care of that?" And I'm like, "Don't the association guys come and do that?" And she's like, "No, everything outside of the association, outside of these fences, yes, but inside, no." And I was like, "Okay." So I go on Amazon. I'm like, "All right, I can't get a riding mower because there's
6
there's
feet.
6 ridiculous. There's 6 feet. There's 6 feet of grass." I'm like, "All right,
Nice
next
tight
one."
turn.
Should have done that.
I'm
What
like,
All of a sudden, he's like
Alpha.
Austin Powers in his backyard. Like,
top of the line.
Top of the line, John Deere.
Your power move of you turn on the lawnmower and you cut the lawn.
I just
You
give it a
cut the
one
lawn.
up, one down. $2,700.
Riding high.
Yeah.
When
So
I
I'm like-
do something, I do it big.
So I know I couldn't go riding mower. So the next one's push mower, but I'm like, push mower with gas and all that stuff. It's like, it's not that big. So it's like, meh. It's like one square and I'm done. So I'm not gonna spend $500 on a push mower. Come on.
Tone, I don't think you've cut a lawn yet. If you cut a square of grass, it's not cutting a lawn.
It's my lawn though, Dan.
going battery powered?
So I went. All right, what's the next tier down? It's like this 3-in-1 weed whacker with an edger, with also like this little thing that you put the weed whacker in that turns it into a lawnmower. So I'm like, this
God.
is it, perfect. So I start pushing.
What is it, Roby?
It's something like no, it's Black and Decker, I think. Good old Black and Decker. So I look
I'm a
good.
Roby guy.
So I have it there, and I'm like, so I'm cutting it, whatever.
It sounds like you look good. You bought a turbo powered machine that makes it look like you have a lifetime of gardening and at your back.
The issue is this. I didn't realize it, but it wasn't battery powered. It's corded. So I have to plug in an extension cord and then plug that cord into the wall. So
Like
I actually
it's the Curly Q Mentos
so I
sign.
have like this
in the
line behind me,
commercial.
and I'm like, ah. So I'm pushing it, and then I look at what I've done, and I'm like, this thing didn't do anything. Like, it didn't cut shit. So I took the weed whacker out, and then I start getting the weed whacker, like, hand on, and then I just start just cutting it through, right?
Shaving right through, razor.
What I didn't realize is as my wife is watching behind me, taking a video of me doing said job, which I'm going to see if I can send it to the video
Yes,
team.
please. Can get,
Like-
can you get that, please?
Bill Paxton with a flamethrower and aliens.
Basically. What I realized was I can't really gauge how low I'm going with the weed whacker to make everything uniform. So I'm doing it, but I'm like, and it's like cutting all the way down to the dirt and like spinning the dirt up.
Tony, when I say there is a lawn in Miramar that I ruined as a 10-year-old because you can't trust a 10-year-old with a lawnmower, and I had the settings, the rotary blades were too low. And so but the lawnmower kept going out because I kept just hacking up the lawn. It's been 30 years. These people have not been able to fix their lawn from what it is I did. Wait a minute. It's been 45 years.
Let's say, Dan, you didn't.
Just dead.
20 years
I
old.
love that Tony's lawn is looking like Antonio Brown's haircut.
It literally does. Like, there's some patches that are just dirt. There's some that are grass. There's some like weeds that I didn't really cut right because they were in the roots. It was a disaster. Luckily, I got everything done in about an hour, and my wife was videotaping and telling me how bad it looked. And I was like, hey, this is my first time. I've never cut the lawn before. My bad. But I think I need to upgrade my weed whacker to maybe something a little bit easier that I can push. But again, I don't want to make the
sounds like you got
investment.
what you've described is a 3-pronged machine of that any man would enjoy having. That anybody who's ever held a power tool, it sounds like you got the kind of weed whacker that you went out into the yard, I'm putting it in quote marks, but
grass patch.
But you were excited. You were excited to go do this, that you were going to be able to give it a quick trim and it was going to be easy, and instead it was just butchery. It was hackery.
It's that I've seen the guys that do it for the association, obviously trained professionals that have been doing it for a long time, come in, all right, and they're done. My other issue, what I didn't think about, as the grass got higher, there's really nowhere for the grass to go once I cut it. You need a blower. I didn't get a blower.
Oh, no.
So now the grass is not only cut,
It's just
but
there.
sitting on the grass that I already cut. So I'm like, damn, it didn't do anything. Like,
You'll
what?
be
Like,
paying
what?
somebody. You know that they have a video game. It's a lawnmower simulator. Why don't you try that? It's actually pretty popular because it's super satisfying. Why don't you take that thing for a spin? See what kind of hog you like.
Do you guys like on TikTok the guy that walks through neighborhoods and sees really crazy overgrown and he knocks on the door and says, I want to do it for you for free, and then it's like sped up, but he cuts the whole thing.
Oh, that's satisfying.
It is satisfying.
He does
to
it
tell
for
that.
old people, does he not? People who can't take care of their own lawn,
Send
like
them to my
Tony, like Tony and so many Cuban boys
Spoiled
in Miami.
Cuban boys.
I'm telling you, what I want to do is next time the association guys come, just kind of pick my head out. People, just tell them, oye, te voy a dar 20 pesos. Te voy a abrir la regla aquí.
Yeah.
Just pass it through for 2 seconds. That's it.
All right, that's one plan. Or you can pull up on your hog and say, "What are you guys on?"
Oh yeah, that's a power move right there.
I wanted to. A lot of people ask me, and I don't have an easy explanation here. They ask me about Cuban politics in Miami and where it is that I get called un gusano, a worm, for going against my people with things that are viewed as liberal. But I wanted to talk to Amin about this as well as someone who, I'm not going to say that if you have to flee someplace necessarily that you value freedom more than most, but you probably do have it more front of mind than the average person who might have grown up in America, because it gets passed down through your family, and America is viewed as the standard ideal for where everyone else wants to be. Florida is viewed as a paradise. But I am surrounded in Florida by a whole lot of Cubans who do not think like me, and I do not understand how we can all look at Trump, and I see someone who's headed clearly toward dictator, and my people don't really see that when they see Trump. So I just wanted to play from the DNC last night. Ana Navarro, she's a Nicaraguan media person, commentator, political commentator.
Was a right-wing, she was a Republican prior to, I guess, 2016. And kind of the events of everything that happened in 2016, she kind of found herself, I don't want to say switching sides, but definitely on the wrong side of the aisle from her Republican brethren.
Charge.
And so when I watch what is happening in American politics and discourse, like, I can't help but hear my parents and grandparents talking about propaganda and misinformation and what communism looks like and what authoritarian and dictator behavior looks like. Not unique to Cuba. So we will get other perspectives here, and I'm curious for Amin's on these words.
Donald Trump and his minions call Kamala a communist. I know communism. I fled communism from Nicaragua when I was 8 years old. I don't take it lightly. And let me tell you what communist dictators do. And it's never just for one day. They attack the free press. They call them the enemy of the people, like Ortega does in Nicaragua. They put their unqualified relatives in cushy government jobs so they can get rich of their positions, like the Castros do in Cuba. And they refuse to accept legitimate elections when they lose and call for violence to stay in power, like Maduro is doing right now in Venezuela. Now, you tell me something. Do any of those things sound familiar? Is there anybody running for president who reminds you of that? And I know one thing, it's not Kamala Harris. That is not the America we love. It's not the land of freedom we treasure. Last night, we heard President Biden say that he loves his job. but he loves his country more. Every American needs to love our country more. Every American has the duty to put our country first. Country first before party. Country first before political ambition. Country first before habit. And in this election, putting country first means one thing and one thing only: voting for Kamala Harris.
What does this have to do with sports? Can't see the tie-in.
I mean, what do you hear when you hear that?
Yeah, I mean, like, look, she makes all the points that I kind of feel and I've expressed on this show in the years past, where it's like, dude, I know what it looks like, and that's how it starts. All of these kind of, I don't know if you want to call them microaggressions at this point. They're just aggressions against things that are pillars of democracy. And the idea that, like, if you don't like how things are going, you just attack those things, attack those pillars, which are supposed to be off limits. We can attack one another, but, like, there's some things that are supposed to be sacred, and one of them, the pillars of democracy are those things. And so, I grew up in a country where democracy was overthrown by a military/religious fundamentalist government. And one of the things I always point to is, like, their first go-to move is, if you're not with us, you're going to hell. Like God is on our side. And so if God has anointed us, and anyone who stands against us clearly stands with the devil, are you a non-believer or whatever? And that's the justification they had for literal genocide, a civil war that ended up splitting the country in two. There's a reason why there's a South Sudan, is because this fundamentalist government was hell-bent on this religious war, if you want to call it that. I think it was more about resources and control, but the way you get the people on the side.
This is a religious war that's happening in America right now.
But it's not. It isn't.
It's disguised.
It's disguised as okay. So we're going to use religion as the reason why we're doing the things we're doing, because we believe that human life begins at conception, and like all those things, those buzzwords and catchphrases that they use, including holding up a Bible upside down. It's to signify, hey, everyone who disagrees with this, they're with the devil. You don't want to be with them.
Speaking of the devil, Arizona State, Big 12 now, new conference. It's now you got the Colorado Buffaloes back in that conference. It's a whole new frontier for the Big 12, and I'm curious your thoughts as they try to rebuild that great Sun Devil program. I mean, you're close to it in Arizona.
I am.
Your thoughts on the program that they're building, because you see your rival, Jed Fish, did a great job with Wildcats, but now he's going to the Pacific Northwest. So the state is back up for grabs. How do you think the Sun Devils are positioned within the Big 12?
You know what this reminds me of? I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this out loud, but I will. You remember the Adam McKay podcast idea where he was going to have like an NBA player and then a climate change scientist on the same podcast, and literally his questions would go like NBA player, hey, what did you think of the moves that the Denver Nuggets did in the offseason, or lack thereof? And then NBA player would answer the questions. And then, speaking of changes that were not made, climate change scientists, what happens if we don't decrease our carbon footprint by the year 2055? And then the guy gives a very serious climate science answer, and then something in that answer says, oh, that reminds me of something. And he goes back to the NBA guy and asks an NBA question. For me, it was hilarious. But I wonder, Dan, how did you experience that as you were watching it unfold?
We never aired it.
Oh.
I also want to distance myself from the political talk on this show, just because I have a long con that I'm trying to achieve, and it can't be a switch that is flipped just like that. I need for it to be believable as I transition into the nation's most preeminent conservative sports media personality.
Mike, as fascinated as I am by this, we have to watch this video right now.
I want you to do this, Mike. Work on this. I want you to become this personality. Let's find a name for him. Let's get a Meadowlark Media uniform. But here is Tony weed whacking his lawn in pantuflas.
Wow.
Strike number 1, by the way. I shouldn't have done that.
Are those Viore?
Toes out.
Are those Viore pants?
No, those are that thing wasn't doing shit, dude.
That looks like a Fisher Price thing.
It's like the 3-piece. So at a certain point, I'm like, all right, I got to get rid of this thing.
Like
but
a vacuum cleaner.
as you can see, there's some dirt marks
It's
that
a
I've already.
dustpan on the end of a stick.
He's got good style.
Tony alleges, and this is fake news, that I snap my fingers and things just happen around here. But I asked many hours ago for the origins of how it is that someone came for the first time to be in cahoots with someone else. And I continue to ask and want clarification because I do think it's funny. If Stephen A. Smith is on what he is calling the #1 rated sports program in America for 13 years, which is a bit of a cheap rhetorical trick by him, by the way, because half of those years they weren't even competing against anybody. And then Fox popped up with Skip Bayless.
Well, and also I would say PTI outrated them for a long time there.
Well, but in that time slot. In that time slot, they have beat all comers, but there were just recently, there was one comer, and it was Skip Bayless, and it was for 6 or 7 years, and then it was done.
The way we use Cahoot, it derives from the French word cahoot, and it means cabin or hut, suggesting the notion of two or more being hidden away, working together in secret. Cahoot.
What is the French word?
Cahoot.
So you think it...
Well, we spell it C-A-H-O-O-T, and the French spelling is C-A-H-U-T-E, cahoot, as opposed to cahoot.
We spell it with 2 A's? C-A-A?
No. C-A-H-O-O-T is how we spell it, and they spell it H-U-T-E.
But at ESPN, they do spell it with 2 A's.
So what is the accusation? Because I really do want to understand the accusation. If Stephen A. Smith is going on the #1 rated program and accusing me of being in cahoots on timing with Tua, the NFL, and someone else, the Dolphins, please explain to me the details in this scheme.
Well, Dan, you asked that question, and you said you snap your fingers and nothing happens. But, Dan, a lot of things happen. It's just they don't happen in front of your eyes. They happen behind the scenes. And so behind the scenes, Jeremy Taché has been working exhaustively this deep investigation, and he comes to us now with his findings, I believe. Jeremy, what have you got for us?
Yeah, Dan and Amin, I mean, it's obvious that Dan was working in cahoots with the NFL, with the Miami Dolphins, to basically have a set-up, canned interview to be able to get this answer from Tua. But we've got a lot of connections going on here, and we start with sort of a big three. Obviously, Dan Leotard right here at the start of this interview. We have Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL. But we have this third sort of shadowy figure that we don't know much about. They call him the Draft King. And that's what connects these two together to sort of start this whole thing. But we're looking at sort of the Leotard extended universe of crime families. So we start right here. The GBF family. First, there's John Wiener, street name Stugotz. Then there's Guillermo Gil, street name The Duke. They're connected, of course, to Leotard. They're also connected to the Draft King. Then you got Mike Ryan, here a leader of the GC crew, obviously the Golden Canes. They connect him to Leotard and also the Draft King. Of course, the Foot Girls clan, they're not only connected to Goodell, to Leotard,
don't like that
but
name.
also to misogyny.
Yep.
They are connected to misogyny, which we know, obviously, connected to the NFL as well. I mean, come on.
Okay.
Then there's the 1440 boys, the Greg Cote Show. Now, we can connect them not only to Le Batard, but also to Mike McDaniel and the Miami Dolphins. Mike McDaniel, who we can connect to Tua. So what do we know about the Hawk-Tua family and their connections over here? Well, Andrew Hawkins, known as Hawk, connected to Le Batard. Mark Hawkman, known as Hawk, connected to Le Batard.
Former associate.
Obviously, when you hear the word Hawk at the moment, Hawk Tua is the first thing you think of. Well, Hawk Tua, that's a part of it. This whole family as well has been a part of a viral sensation to sort of tone down the name Tua and make it seem even more palatable, as Leotard obviously works with the NFL to make all of these things happen. So you've got all of these different families working together, but you also have really important industries that we need to get to, because our Amin El Hassan is connected to DMX, obviously, so the music industry might be a huge part of this as well, connected to Barack Obama. So the entire political structure needs to be working in turn with Leotard and Goodell. Obviously, Ricky Williams and the weed conglomerate, working with Dan, working with the Draft King, working with Roger Goodell, all in cahoots. Notice our Juju Gotti and Roger Goodell caught in the act, cahooting at the Super Bowl.
Why is Shannon Sharp up there?
Well, obviously, Shannon Sharp, part of the movie industry, once connected talking movies to our own Dan Leotard. And so you can connect him to the NFL.
Really talking
you can connect him to the Draft King. And honestly, guys, what we realize after we look at all of this is it all started right here in this moment as Dan awkwardly embraced NFL superstar Josh Norman. That was the moment that Goodell knew that Dan could be cahooted for a moment like this.
In there?
Carol! It's Pepe Silvia, of course, Dan. This is where it all started.
Okay, I appreciate all that investigative work.
The Wire.
I'm glad that we got to the bottom of it.
I knew something was up that Josh Norman hug.
Dude,
I knew something was up
was the
that
moment.
day.
Caught on surveillance camera. I mean, like, that's as FBI level investigation as you can get. That's federal work.
When we talk about taking out the media in America, can you guys explain to me why so many people are writing to me in the middle of the Tua Flores thing and saying, why isn't anyone blaming you, Le Batard?
Yeah.
Blaming you for what it is that happened here, this discord that you created inside the Dolphins, making unnecessary distractions for our football team before an important season. A whole lot of people are wondering about the media's role in this. I'm dead serious. Like, why are they for asking him the question, which was really open-ended and was meant as a bit of a softball to just talk about what Mike McDaniel believing in you is about. Like, it wasn't, the intention was not to create anything that resembled noise for 3 days.
I mean, come on. We knew with that question. Like, we wanted them to.
No, you didn't know how he could absolutely give you quarterback speak and
He
not
could
answer
have
the
just
question.
taken it and talked about McDaniel. But the question was like, these two different, like, tell us, what's the change here?
If anybody had an agenda, it was clearly Tua.
Well,
Like, he had the platform, and he seemed very eager for someone to ask him that question. And, I mean, he knows when he's giving that answer that it's going to make waves, and I don't think he cares.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. This wasn't him being baited into saying something. He was very forward in what he wanted to say, because as you guys just pointed out, he could easily say, what's the difference? Oh, Mike McDaniel, imagine a guy who wakes up every day to build you up as opposed to tear you down. Like, he could have done it from the Mike McDaniel angle. He chose to do it from a Brian Flores angle. I don't have any problem with it. That was his experience. It doesn't sound like from Brian Flores' press conference that Tua said anything that was inaccurate.
Well, this part I don't think we covered quite enough yesterday. In being jarred by the Brian Flores press conference, when you talk about how you avoid these things with either quarterback speak or coach speak, this was a professional head coach. He knows how to navigate these things. I didn't have on my bingo card copping to being an asshole, which is kind of what he did. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't have him coming out. Sampson said he shouldn't have done that it made him appear weak. I didn't think so. I thought it was a moment of humility. I thought it was strong. I don't need my football leader who looks like Brian Flores to physically flex in front of me and repress all of his feelings. When he says, yeah, it hit hard to hear him call me a terrible person. The acknowledgement is what blew me away. The fact that he was willing to cop to a press conference. When have you ever seen the coach have the press conference where he said, yeah, I was an asshole? Like, it's not what he said, but he said it the way that he could under the circumstances.
So what's the debate here? I genuinely don't know. Like, what's the pushback that you're receiving, creating a distraction or being cahooted? It seems as though Tua had an agenda, used the platform to share the agenda. There was no real denial from Brian Flores. If anything, there was a confirmation of that, said he has grown from it. And I think that's a case closed.
We provided said platform, and we provided said platform that ended up further discrediting Brian Flores and further absolving the Dolphins, Tua, the NFL. And that was what the plan was, as we saw with Jeremy's board. It's all designed to be in cahoots to bring about the top, best case scenario for the National Football League.
Can you guys get me the Darlington sound? Chris Cote.
Oh, I love this.
Chris Cote is claiming that Darlington is mad at us. Now, Darlington, let me tell you a little bit about Darlington. Mm-hmm. He reported that golf arrest, and now he thinks he's Mr. News and Information guy who's out in front of everybody, and why aren't you listening to me when I've told you things months early?
He reported months ago that the reason Flores was fired was his handling of Tua specifically. And there's a clip here we're about to play of him basically saying on SportsCenter, like, This shouldn't be new to Flores. I said this months ago. Why is nobody talking about this?
This is what's happening here. Chris Cote is theorizing. I want to allege, look, let's come back and fight fire with fire. If Stephen A. Smith's going to accuse us of being in cahoots, let's us publicly as a show accuse Jeff Darlington of being acidically bitter about the fact that no one listened to his story until we prodded it out of Tua while being in cahoots with Goodell, the NFL, and the Dolphins to undermine the black head coach or the black assistant coach in Minnesota.
You know, the only thing I'd say about that is if Brian Flores was surprised about Tua Tagovailoa's comments or feelings, he has had his head in the sand since the moment he was fired. It's part of the reason that he was fired. His record did not merit him to be fired. It was his treatment of Tua Tagovailoa, large in part, which I'd reported at the time. If you're fired because of your treatment towards somebody, and then 2 years later you act surprised by that, that's my only, I would say, question about that. This is not a surprise to Brian Flores. Yes, hopefully it is a teachable moment, but it should have been a teachable moment the second he was fired for his treatment of a player.
When I reported it.
Darlington is pissed, and he's been wearing sunglasses at camp that make his face tan weirdly.
Dan, what are you alleging here?
I am alleging that Darlington is angry because he reported something months ago correctly and accurately, and no one cared until Tua said it.
I'm talking about the other thing that you alleged there at the end.
I'm alleging that he was at camp and he was wearing sunglasses, and the makeup people who were handling his makeup betrayed him on this day, and they could not hide his anger behind makeup because look at him, like embittered. And
I can see them
embittered, filled with rage. And I owe him a bet, by the way. One of the things that we escaped, like Whittingham escaped all of his grid of death punishments by just leaving the company. When I left ESPN, I end up getting away from the bet I lost to Darlington. He was going to tase me, was he not, on the air? Weren't we going to do that?
ESPN loved that idea. They were like, yeah, totally do it. There's nothing wrong with this. We love it. Keep doing more. Do more of that. Threaten to tase more talent and just think that you could do it without informing anybody. This is a great idea. You're fucking fired.
I thought it was because we were woke.
Let go.
You said earlier in the show.
No, you're not fired for this, but this is a drop in a bucket.
What?
Get out of
because
here.
we were too woke.
Money cut.
Which one was it?
You are fired.
Which one was it?
You are fired. You don't talk enough sports. You kids in cages. No one wants to hear that. This is the cowherd slot, people. Like, just what are you doing with this slot? Kids in cages.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show.
You just say that.
Why were we fired? Too woke, or Dan's taser bet with Jeff Darlington?
What is it with you? Every day there's something new. That was my experience after every show. You want to know what one of the worst jobs in America is?
Oh no!
Being executive producer of the Le Batard Show while I was with ESPN and trying to explain Dan's behavior as if I had any insight to it.
And while you weren't an ESPN employee either, which is a lot of fun.
That was at the very beginning. I wasn't an ESPN employee because that's how things work over there. And I was just producing daily content while not actually being on the payroll.
Who was paying you?
It was the
ticket?
Lincoln Financial. Oh. Yeah.
Lincoln Financial. Jeremy, add that to the board.
Yeah.
Lincoln Financial.
There was a really fun 3-week period where my contract was finally absorbed by ESPN, but also Lincoln Financial had closed on a sale. So for one whole week, I had to do all the corporate onboarding for a place that I was going to be at for 5 minutes. So all the compliance, all the training, everything.
No.
A crash course in a week, having to sign up for healthcare for one pay period, doing all of that stuff. And then 2 weeks later, resetting the clock and doing it all over again for the Walt Disney Company, which actually had Mark Hamill voicing over those videos, which was a lot more enjoyable.
How much do you think they paid him to do that?
Hamill?
Yeah. Because beyond being Luke Skywalker, he's a very accomplished, very
better for his voice work.
Voice actor. So to do voiceover work, even though it's Mark Hamill, it's like, he does the Joker in the Batman animated series. And
$100K?
I'm getting to
No
it.
way. $100K? No way.
$100K? He's there every year.
Dude, $100K.
$100K. I guarantee you he's made at least $100,000.
He's made way more.
Off of the HR videos?
Way more.
Wow.
Way more. $100K?
You have a good voice. Have you ever considered doing voice work?
I have, actually. Yeah. Yes. Antiquado.
What is that is the very limited Antonio Banderas saying the single word he knows. Travis Kelce's going to be paid what to do Happy Gilmore 2? How does that all come together? Happy Gilmore 2. Adam Sandler, he's got one of the best gigs in the history of entertainment where he just gathers together a bunch of people he wants to go on vacation with and makes a movie. Happy Gilmore 2 is easy for him to do. And compare that to where we are with Rush Hour 4, by the way, because Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan want to do Rush Hour 4. It's being sent out all over the place, but they can't do it because Brett Ratner is attached as a producer and director, and that guy's got so much shit in his past that he's trying to become the Mel Gibson route of maybe I can skate through by grabbing a couple of things here on the side, ride Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker and nostalgia right past all of this shit.
Remember when Eddie Murphy was going to host the Oscars? This was a recent thing because Brett Ratner was producing the Oscars. And then Ratner got moved off the Oscars, and that's how we lost Eddie Murphy hosting the Oscars.
So Happy Gilmore 2, Travis Kelce is now reported to be a part of that. What are you sighing about?
Because, there's a couple of things. Look, I like Travis Kelce a lot. As we've established, me and the Kelces, we go back prior to the whole Taylor Swift thing. I'm a day one with the Kelce family. And by day one, I mean the Super Bowl in Arizona.
Why are you giving us your Kelce bona fides?
I want to be clear. As I'm a fan of Travis Kelce as a player. I'm a fan of him off the field, all of his endeavors. He was in that short-lived sitcom on Showtime about mission to Mars, basically.
Some space show, yeah.
Yeah, but he played himself being part of this mission. He played Travis Kelce.
John C. Reilly. Is Steve Carell in that?
I believe so, yes.
I thought Steve Carell was in the other one. There were two at the same time, right? That was Space Force?
He is in the other one. You're right.
This is Moonbase 8.
Moonbase 8. There you go. So I support his ambitions. But when you tell me it's an Adam Sandler vehicle, I know exactly how this goes. You ask, how does this come about? It comes about like this. Adam Sandler is sitting on a couch, laying back on the couch. His feet are kicked up. He's throwing a ball of some sorts up in the air and catching it. And then someone says, "Hey, Adam, Travis Kelce wants to be in one of your movies." And Adam says, "Okay." And basically they're going to cast him as like the firefighter who shows up like, "Hey, what's the big idea over here?" And that's it. Like there's no thought process. There's no writing. It's an Adam Sandler movie. It is the simple, lowest common denominator story. Basically, you nailed it on the head. They give him an exorbitant amount of money. He casts his friends. They go on to tropical locations to shoot this shit. The story is written in a day, maybe a day and a half on the back of a napkin, and they just goof off.
So it sounds like this. It would sound something like this. Hey, Adam, can we put Travis Kelce in Happy Gilmore 2?
I do believe that. Yes, we will do that. We will do that. Yes.
I hate that voice so much. He does an amazing job.
That's really good.
Do you hate that impression?
Oh, my God.
It's also really good.
So bad.
A chorus of Adam Sandler's?
The impression is so bad.
Adam Sandler will often be seen in New York.
You know what I hate about Adam Sandler the most? The most is I've hated every single movie he's created, including what was the one that you made me watch, Mike, when we were in the old
studio? It was
studio?
Billy Madison.
Oh my God, that movie was so terrible.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
I hate all of his movies except for one, and yet
Punch Drunk Love is great. It's great.
I would have to explain that one to ESPN.
Conditioner is better. I leave the hair silky and smooth.
The reason I hate him the most is because I know in my heart of hearts, if I met Adam Sandler, we would probably be very good friends. And then at some point, I'd get cast in one of his movies, and then I'd have to recant every
playing in a pickup basketball game.
Absolutely, I'm there for it, and I hate that about myself, Dan. If I might need to go to the therapy couch. This is what I hate about myself. I know I'm a fraud. I know it. I look in the mirror every morning. I look at this fraud.
You know what?
Put on your fraud
Go ahead and
makeup.
go to the
Yes,
therapy
please.
couch right now.
I need to.
Because you can be bought.
If Kelce ends up as like a police officer in Happy Gilmore 2, Shaq and Dan Patrick are going to be like, what the fuck?
Adam Sandler is known to walk the streets of New York. This is aggressive. Eating straight from a jar of pickles.
Hell yeah.
That's the way to do it right there.
That's amazing.
Just to walk around as a famous person. You know those sweats smell like pickle juice. You know he's going to get into a pickup game somewhere in his 50s at some Y somewhere. And then he's going to call Kevin James. They're going to shout at the Mets game, and then they're going to go to Hawaii and make a movie because Happy Gilmore 2, people will watch it just for the nostalgia. Netflix will pay how much for that movie? How much money would Netflix pay for Happy Gilmore 2?
Well, he's got a first look deal, right? He's got a development deal there, so I think it's like an all-encompassing deal with him.
But he doesn't have to do that. He can do any number of projects and then save that for the side because that's a movie that can make all manner of money whenever it is that he wants to make it. Whenever he were to put it out, that's a movie that people are going to want the nostalgia of, oh, I love this guy. I love that movie from 20 years ago.
Yes.
Do you guys want Rush Hour 4? Because
no, I don't. I didn't want Rush Hour 3.
I don't really understand how I can go about pretending to be this person who's so tough and he doesn't like anything and he's so harsh and stuff. He's always hating on stuff. And deep down inside, I kind of know I want that acceptance, man. I want that widespread acceptance.
Hello! Jackie Chan's career deserves to be memorialized. He is an old man now. He's done his own stunts forever. He is one of the greatest talents in the history internationally of entertainment and Hollywood, and he deserves the proper send-off as a real and true legend.
Dan says that he thinks that Punch Drunk Love is the one movie I like of Adam Sandler's, and it's not that. I actually didn't think it was that great. I thought it was just because he was talking in a regular voice, and now all of a sudden we're just going to respect him. Get out of here. No, the movie.
What movie do you think it was that was Adam Sandler? Was it the one about dying in comedy? Was it? Did he do that one with Seth Rogen? I don't know. I don't know what the name of that movie.
Funny people.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Adam. I appreciate
Anger Management. That was a good one.
There's some classics, man.
I spoke to me in a way that I don't know if I can even explain it to people because I think most people don't like this movie. It's You Don't Mess with the Zohan, and I don't know why. I love it.
That's a good movie, actually. That's a really good movie. That right there, honestly, it nails down all the tensions you need to know that are going on in the Middle East. That movie is a great representation. Truly. I watched it around my bar mitzvah with a bunch of my friends, which was interesting timing.
The thing about, was it Rebound or whatever it was called, that basketball movie that everybody made a big deal, is that Doc Rivers is in it, and Dave Yeager's on the assistant coaching staff, which he was in real life. And Dave Yeager could not walk. All he needed to do was walk down a hallway behind Doc Rivers. He acted his ass on with just walking. On Cinephobe, we gave him an award for it. We called it the Dave Yeager Award for not being able to even play the background.
What kind of therapy session is this?
It's such a great setup for a Doc Rivers impression.
And I was like, Dave, you just have to walk. We're not asking you to even have a line. You don't even have to have a reaction. You just walk.
Wait, Amin, can you do me the
Just
favor,
walk up
please?
now.
Amin, can you just do for me Doc Rivers in therapy right like right now? Doc Rivers, we go in live exclusively to Doc Rivers right now in his life with everything that's happened over the last 24 months. Let's check in exclusively, something that feels like an ethical violation, on Doc Rivers talking with his therapist.
Everybody seems to blame me for what happened at ESPN with JJ leaving, and I left them in the lurch. They said, what lurch? What lurch? Hey, they offered me $40 million to coach Giannis and Damian Lillard. Hell, Norby would have taken that deal. What are you talking about? What are you talking to? And then I get there, and everyone's mad because the record wasn't so good under me. Hey, I didn't have training camp. I didn't have an opportunity to blow a 3-1 lead. That's what I do. I build up a 3-1 lead.
There's a good segment there. Doc Rivers in therapy. Doc Rivers as a 4 seed, perpetually in therapy. Just talking, you keep tuning in, and all Doc Rivers is talking about is, we were up 3-1. We were always up 3-1. Oh, my God. I'm glad you did that, Amin. Congratulations on successfully executing a bit.
Love those Georgia Tech shorts. Big game in Dublin. It's bubbling in Dublin.
They're no Viari.
You know what you don't do? You know what you don't do, Dan? You don't give Brent Key months to prepare for a football game. That's something that you don't do.
I thought for sure you would have opinions on Delaware State missing its 10.5-hour flight.
Yeah, my opinions are, why was this yanked off the board so quickly before I could lay into that Hawaii line?